Our topic today is CIEE's Teach in China programs. My name is Luke, and I'll be leading you through the presentation today. Here's a quick look at what we're going to cover. We'll introduce CIEE. We'll run down some of the benefits of teaching abroad. We'll look at what kind of jobs are available in China. We'll talk about some different options that can take you there. We'll look at why you might choose CIEE compared to other options. We'll quickly explain our TEFL offering and how it's connected to the China program. And then, as I mentioned, lots of time for your questions. So my name again is Luke. I'm the coordinator for CIEE's Teach Abroad programs in China, Morocco, and Senegal. I've been working for CIEE since 2013. And before that, I was teaching English in Jordan. I studied Arabic at university and was excited to live and work in an Arabic-speaking country. And so I've been able to experience teaching English firsthand, which is kind of neat. And I'm happy to share my experience with people like you and help you folks have great experiences as well. CIEE has been around a lot longer than that. We just celebrated our 70th anniversary doing education exchange programs. We are a leader and a trendsetter in the field. We've been doing Teach Abroad programs in China since 1997. We were the first Western organization to open up shop and offer that kind of experience. So we've got a long history and a lot of really good experience to share. I like to start these presentations with a question. You're here, you're interested in teaching abroad and interested in China. And the question is why? What's your goal? Where are you hoping that this journey will take you? Obviously, there's a lot of different answers to that question, and that's okay. People have different backgrounds and different hopes and goals and aspirations, and lots of different reasons for signing up for an experience like this, which is only natural. And of course, two people going side by side on the program can end up having very different experiences, and that's okay too. There are a lot of great things available from teaching abroad and from China in particular. As you can see in these photos, it's both a place with a lot of tradition and a very unique culture and architecture, but also a place that is bustling and modern with cities that are full of Starbucks and shopping malls and movie theaters and all those kind of amenities and modern necessities. It's a country of big cities, but it's also a country of great natural beauty. You can see a lake in the bottom left there, and there's just dozens of national parks full of beautiful mountains to hike and explore. It's an amazing place. It's a country on the rise, and a great place to live and work for a little while. A great part about teaching abroad is people. It's a very people-centered activity. As a teacher in China, you're automatically going to have a community of people who are your students and your colleagues and your supervisors. And they're going to help you get in the fast lane and really engage with the culture over in China. They'll help you learn the language, learn the customs, and give you tips about food and places to visit. It's a really amazing way to experience a place, just to have these people all around you. And as you can see from this picture, you'll have a different group kind of moving along the track in parallel with you. Those are your fellow CIEE participants. Going on a program like CIEE's Teach in China means that you're not going to be alone. You might be separated a bit in distance from people, but you're going to be part of a group of peers who are going on this adventure together. You can go visit each other on vacations. You can travel together on holidays. You can message each other, and whether it's lesson plans or frustrations or questions. Teaching abroad can be a very, very social activity. You make friends for life, whether they're from China or the UK or the US or other places around the world. The food, of course, it goes without saying, is some of the best in the world. It's an amazing cuisine. And once you've grown to know some Chinese food, the local Chinese restaurants in small American towns will never feel quite the same, but it will open up a whole lot of other really exciting doors. You can see some pictures here of CIE participants at cooking events or even just restaurants during orientations. The food is a highlight. I remember from an orientation I attended a few months ago, the plates were stacked 3 high, the big plates in the middle that you're sharing food from. It just kept bringing out more and more to sort of be generous hosts to you folks as guests at orientation, which was really fun. So it's delicious and lots of good food for all kinds of different tastes. Another reason why people teach abroad, another benefit that they take away from it, are the skills it develops. It's a resume builder, but it's more than just a line in your resume. This is a chance to really exercise and push yourself and practice some things. If you're planning to be a teacher or you're already a professional teacher, obviously that falls right in line with your career development. But even if you're not, take a look at this list and imagine how these can apply to any job. As a foreign teacher at a school halfway around the world, you're going to need to show some personal and cultural judgment and deal with different communication styles and evaluate these situations and think about, is this a situation where I need to be confident and assertive and kind of take charge? Or is this a situation where I need to sit back and be flexible and let somebody else take the wheel and be patient even if things aren't going the way that you would plan them? These are skills that are not just for teachers and are not just for people who are going to work in international business. These are skills that you can use in any job, anywhere. It'll make you a better manager, make you a better project contributor, just a better coworker. So it's a chance to grow professionally as an individual, which is really cool. And of course, it's a chance to grow culturally. There's no way to learn a language or learn about a culture, no better way than to be there and physically in the midst of it, learning a little piece of it every day. Those are things that will stick with you for the long haul. You probably won't become fluent in Chinese in a year, but it doesn't matter if you're going to know a little bit of Chinese and know a little bit more about the culture and the values and how people behave and how people communicate. Those are really valuable things. So that's kind of my whirlwind tour through why you might teach abroad. But of course, you're already here. You're already interested. So I wanted to move on and spend a little bit more time on the what. What will you be doing? What's the position? What's the job? This is our general description of what you'd be doing as a participant on our program. In China, our instructors are lead teachers. So they're in charge of the classroom. They're teaching English as a second language. They might have occasional help from co-teachers around them, but it's a level of responsibility being a solo lead teacher in these classrooms. We have placement opportunities and partnerships with government schools and private schools. So there's a couple of different levels there. We have opportunities at lots of different age groups. Very young children with pre-K and kindergarten, up through elementary school, teenagers, and even universities. It's a really cool range of opportunities. And the demand is pretty strong at each level. We don't have a lot of just high school positions. That's the only kind of soft spot in the menu, I would say. But aside from that, it's pretty easy for you to say what type of age level you'd like to be working with, and there's strong demand for teachers, and we should be able to match you up with something good. A big benefit of this program is the rent-free housing that all of our employer partners offer to participants, which is really great. If you're not paying rent, it means that your salary is actually a lot bigger than it looks, and the money's going to go a lot further. The schools know that it would be pretty difficult to arrange your housing because of the language and cultural barriers. So their typical approach is just to set up the housing for you. The other details on this page are the start dates. You can see those are roughly September 1st and March 1st. We have a fall start date and a spring start date each year. And then the duration. Most of our jobs are for 2 semesters, for about 10 or 11 months. Some of them at certain schools are available for a shorter duration, 1 semester or around 5 months. A question we hear a lot with teaching abroad is, am I qualified to do this? Do I have what it takes? What are you looking for in a teacher? So there's a couple of different ways to answer that question. First, the basics. What are the eligibility requirements? You'll need a bachelor's degree in any field. You'll need to be a native speaker of English. And you'll need to be between, at least under the age of 60. That's a visa requirement for getting a Chinese work permit, is that you're not allowed to be over that retirement age. You'll also need at least one of the following credentials to give you some training in teaching. You'll need to have either an education degree, 2 years of full-time teaching experience, or a TOEFL certificate of at least 120 hours in order to meet the visa requirements to get a visa to teach English in China legally. Most people we work with don't have the first two, so our program actually includes the third option, the TOEFL certificate, as a feature that's automatically included. There is no language requirement to apply. You do not need to know any Chinese at all. It's a good idea to learn how to say hello, goodbye, and thank you before you go. Ni hao, zai jian, and xie xie. But that's just a little bit of pleasantry, just so that you can make a good first impression when you're meeting your colleagues and supervisors. All the schools we work with have at least one teacher assigned to help the foreign teachers who speaks both Chinese and English. They have a couple different titles, but they're sort of your liaison, your coordinator. They do a lot of work helping you out with things like setting up internet, setting up phones, getting your banking up and running. And they often go with the teachers to those institutions to help get everything set up, since they can kind of translate and be the intermediary. As far as the students, they aren't expecting you to know Chinese. You can teach them in English in an immersion setting where they're not supposed to be speaking Chinese in the classroom, and the fact that you don't speak Chinese, it helps to guarantee that. That's totally fine. It might seem a little odd at first, but believe me when I say that with a little bit of preparation and support and the training from the TOEFL course, it's very realistic to teach English even if you don't know Chinese. And finally, what does it take to be a successful teacher? There's a couple of, I'd say, personality or attitude traits here that are important. They're not part of the eligibility, of course, and no visa officer is going to be checking them off a list, but these are things that we've observed that make the difference between a teacher who can adapt and thrive and have a good experience, and teachers who get frustrated and don't really accomplish the goals that they set or the goals that their employers are hoping to. Successful teachers are flexible and adaptable. They're able to adjust when the plan changes, and it will change, without getting too bent out of shape about it. Successful teachers are energetic. One of the biggest things you can do to overcome a cultural communication barrier or succeed, even though you're not sure of all of the educational traditions that are behind your classroom, is to be energetic and smile and get people smiling and laughing back at you and up on their feet. Because if they're having a good time, they're going to learn more and remember things and look forward to your class and engage more with your activities. So the energy level is an important thing to make sure that your students and your colleagues know that you like them and you like sharing the English language with them. Successful teachers are also creative and independent. They're able to adjust activities and think up new ones and do things even without a lot of structure in place. These are just things to keep in mind when you're sort of mentally preparing yourself to get ready for a teach abroad experience. If you can, the more you can line yourself up with these traits, the more successful you'll be and the better experience you'll have. Another big question, of course, is where. Where will I be teaching? You can see on this map of China a set of CIE flags. These are places where we have placed teachers in the past 20 years of the program. Right now, though, for 2018, we're focusing most of our placements in the two areas that I've circled in orange. Chongqing, you'll see on the left, is a major city and a small province around it in south central China. There's a lot of universities that are in the cities surrounding the major city in the middle. And there's a couple of private schools that are quite close to the center. That's sort of one of our main centers of placement. We've got a good relationship with the local government there. And then in Shanghai, another major city on the coast, a little more international, a few more foreigners walking around on the streets. We've got some great links with a series of private schools there that go back more than a decade. Again, one of our most reliable and trusted employer partners in China is in that city, in Shanghai. We do have a few placements in other areas these days. The local visa restrictions have been changing a lot in the past 18 months, and Chongqing and Shanghai are places where we're confident that the schools can do a good job of sponsoring the teachers and arranging work permits. The other areas, we're taking things on a case-by-case basis and making sure that we're only matching teachers up with schools that can do a good job of following the latest visa procedures. So we're certainly happy to talk about other places in China, like whether it's Shandong province or Jiangxi province that you might see on this map. But just to be transparent about what the locations are looking like these days, Shanghai and Chongqing are definitely the main centers for placement. Another nice option that we can offer with the Teach in China program is a program variant called Teach in China Immersion. I've set up a comparison of the two programs here side by side. On the left, you'll see Teach in China, which is our main program. It's where most of our applicants line up. It encompasses the whole range of all the different schools you might possibly be working at in China. And it's sort of our standard program offering. It starts in the spring and in the fall. The China Immersion program is a little more specific. It narrows down to a specific set of schools in Shanghai. And the reason it does that is because we've set up a language course at a local university in Shanghai. It's an 18-week Mandarin class, one night a week for 2 hours, to give you a really professional, university level introduction to Mandarin. The course is available at the intro level only. So if you've already put in a lot of effort to getting really good at Chinese, that's excellent, but this might not be the program for you. You might want to look at the Teach in China program instead. So if you like the sound of adding a Mandarin class to your Teach in China program, then the Immersion program might be a good one to consider. That program is available in the fall only, and it has a 2-semester duration starting from late August and running until late July. Okay, so that's what we're offering, but I did want to take a minute to talk about what really sets us apart and why people choose CIE to support an English teaching job in China. We call this the CIE difference. It's what sets us apart, like we said. And I like to use this diagram to explain it. You can see in the center of the diagram is the job placement. Of course, we've got 20 years of great relationships and very reliable, respected partners. And that's the core of the program. It's the centerpiece. But we've found just getting a job isn't always enough to really prepare people for a successful and a rewarding experience. And that's what our program package is designed to do. We're trying to prepare you for a successful and a rewarding experience. So to accomplish that, we have all these other services that are attached to it that support that central goal of teaching English in China. It starts before you go. It starts with this webinar, with this conversation, this video. You're getting advising and assistance from our staff here in the U.S. We're based in Portland, Maine. We've got a really great set of pre-departure guides that cover things like packing and logistics and what to expect from a different culture and what kind of gifts to bring for your coworkers and supervisors. A lot of great advice from former teachers who've actually built it into a whole online course full of advice to help you get ready even before your plane takes off. When your plane lands, you'll have an orientation in country with your fellow teachers led by our staff who is based in Shanghai. So we have staff to support you in both locations. They're ready to offer 24/7 in-country support for emergencies and, of course, more routine day-to-day contact for everyday questions or general advice. Our program includes international travel and emergency medical insurance to help support you as a safety net in case you get sick or you get hurt or you lose your passport or something or your bag goes missing from the airline. This is a level of international travel and medical insurance that is there to make sure that you can bounce back and get reimbursed for those things. Our program also includes the visa fee and processing service because the visa process at Chinese consulates in the U.S. can be pretty complicated. And the TEFL certificate obviously is an important part of our sort of package of services. It gives you the training you need to be confident in the classroom, but it also lets you meet the visa eligibility requirements. So it's really preparing you in a couple different ways. Our program has a lot of great services that we've carefully arranged over many years of experience. It does come with a price tag. As you can see here, our Teach in China program has a fee of 1,900 USD, and the China Immersion program with that extra language class costs a bit more. If you're not taking our TEFL course, if you already have one or already have an education degree, you can see that those prices drop by $600. And if you're located outside the U.S., you can take another $300 off. You'll just need to plan to pay your own visa fees and handling services. Another question I get a lot is, what about the free options? What about a free recruiter? There's definitely a lot of demand for English teachers in China, and in response to that, there's a lot of companies and outfits that have opened up that will place you in China and help you get a job and not charge you a fee in the way that CIEE does. Well, the truth is they're not all that much cheaper than CIEE when you zoom out and look at the big picture. They just use a different model. Instead of gathering all of these services and these different forms of assistance together in one big package, they've left them out there floating in the void, and they expect that their clients and that their participants, their teachers, will just pay for those things out of pocket. You can see a list of some of these things here. These are all things that have to be paid in order to get you to China. There's a saying my economics teacher told me: there's no such thing as a free lunch. It costs money to set up for a teaching experience in China. Schools aren't going to reimburse you for these costs, and a free recruiter isn't going to reimburse you for these costs either. They're going to come out of your pocket. I know some of our competitors, they even have a requirement that you have international medical insurance, and they won't let you go on the program until you show proof of purchase. They can make a couple of recommendations, but they don't really provide it for you. So already their idea of being a free service just isn't as true as it might seem. It's a good marketing tactic, but we find it to be misleading. We'd much rather be upfront about the cost and do what we can to help. Where we're able to get a group discount for certain services like authentication or visa processing, we use our status as a large organization based in the U.S. To help procure that for you. All these services, all these fees that you see on the left they're all included as part of your CIE program. So these aren't things that you'll have to worry about if you're signing up to teach in China through CIE. I hope this is a helpful way to think about it. And if you have any questions about any of this, of course, I've been working on this kind of program for many years, and I'm happy to dive into the details and look at a specific case if that would be helpful. So coming to the end of the presentation here, I did just want to say a few words about our TEFL course. This is included by default in all of our Teach in China programs, whether it's immersion or regular. The reason for that is a new set of visa regulations that require all teachers to have some kind of teaching credential, like TEFL. Our course is 150 hours. 130 of those hours take place online. It's online coursework, which takes about 3 months to complete. We cap our class sizes at 13, and you'll meet once a week by video with as many people from your class who can make it. And of course, the same instructor each week who is giving you feedback and guiding you through the course. You'll have other readings and videos and assignments and homework to do at your own time during the week. And the other 20 hours of the course are what we call a practicum. These are practice hours or observation hours that you do in the real world, in addition to complement your online learning. So it's a hybrid course. Most of it takes place online. A little bit of it is something that you set up in your own local community to sort of put the capstone on it and reflect a little bit on how those principles play out in practice. We have TEFL sessions starting every 2 weeks, so the timing is pretty flexible. Although with China, it is a visa requirement, and you do need to show the certificate eventually for the visa process. So it's important to get started as soon as you can. And the TEFL is included in as Teach in China as an included feature, so you don't need to open a separate application for it. I can help you speed things along with a Teach in China application and move on to the acceptance and the stage where you can start the course if you'd like to start sooner rather than later. The last question is when? When do you want to go? When do you want to teach abroad? The next season that we're accepting for is fall 2018. We have a March 1st deadline to submit your CIE application. Between March and July, we'll be working on visa documents and interviews, and then the departure dates will be in late August or in September. If you're planning further ahead, there's a spring 2019 start date. You'll want to apply by August 1st of this year, and then you'll be looking at a start date in February or March of 2019. Okay, well, that is the conclusion of our presentation. Thank you so much for attending and for watching and listening. I hope it's been helpful. I really look forward to working with you to put together an amazing experience, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to teach English in China. And at CIE and myself, we would be honored to assist you in that project.